is Natalie Hernandez, and I am here with Eric Morrisey, the Pleasantville Village Administrator, right?
Correct.
And we're here to talk about Pleasantville coyote problem. So you just mentioned that there were about 30 coyote sightings. Do you know where most of the coyote sightings were happening?
Well, it seems to be scattered throughout the village. Initially, we were getting a lot of sightings on the west side of the village, near Wascora, Roselle Park, and the thought there was there could potentially be dens at Graham Hills County Park, across the street from Pace, and also on the Pace campus, on the Pace property. There's a section of woods off of Choate Lane that long has been known to house dens. So they were probably these coyotes coming from that area. The Sawmill River Parkway is also a known corridor for coyotes as well. So they're known to travel over great distances looking for food. So it's been all over, but at first it was mainly on the west side of the village.
And how long have you been working in Pleasantville, and have you seen a coyote problem?
Sure. So I've been working in Pleasantville for almost a year. Before that, I was working in another community, but before that, I had been working at Pace as the Director of Government and Community Affairs. And I was there for about 6 years. And I know I've received complaints when I worked at Pace of coyote sightings coming from the Pace campus. So it's long, been known to be home to coyotes. And the other significant fact is there's probably about 50,000 coyotes that live in the state of New York. Newcastle, which is a neighboring community, has been dealing with coyotes for maybe 5 years now, very publicly. There's been articles in the New York Times about it. Scarsdale, Mamaroneck, the town of Mount Pleasant have all had coyote sightings. I mean, they're here, and they've been here for a long time. I think with social media now, these interactions are, becoming more topical.
Yeah. You mentioned social media. I know residents were very vocal on social media about their displeasure about seeing coyotes.
Sure.
How did they react when they contacted the office, and what was the residents' reaction to the coyote
problem? I think, understandably so, a lot of residents were concerned. I mean, they have young kids, and if they're out, as I said, Roselle Park that area was home to a number of sightings. I mean, you're concerned when you bring your kid to a park, and you have to not only keep an eye on them while they're playing on a playground, but now all of a sudden be concerned about potentially a coyote attacking them. And I think also, I wasn't very knowledgeable about coyotes too, and I think that's a huge factor. The more people know about their behavior, the more comfortable they are in that environment. So I think at first people just wanted to know what can be done, what should they do, what precautions can they take, is there anything the village can do to protect them? So, a lot of what we've done is fact find and communicate the information to the public. I mean, we've got a lot of really great local resources here between, Pace faculty members, a lot of biologists. We had a biologist from New York State DEC come down and talk to residents. So the more information you can get out publicly, I think the more comfortable residents are.
When I spoke to Nicole Asquith, she mentioned education was really important. So that was one of the factors in what Pleasantville did to help the coyote problem. I just wanted to know, what else did Pleasantville do? I know they might have contacted a trapper, and I just wanted to know a little bit about that.
Sure. So the DEC, the state DEC, is responsible for issuing trapping permits for coyotes. They have a certain threshold that initiates that. So they won't just let anybody or any community trap at will. During one of the public meetings when the DEC representative came down to talk to residents, a group of them were describing aggressive behaviors of a particular coyote. And at that meeting, he said, yes, that would meet the threshold of us issuing a permit. And so the village then went and applied for a permit and secured one. So we contracted with the contractor that also was contracted by the town of Mount Pleasant. The town was moving forward with trapping as well because they had coyote sightings. Choate Lane and the Pleasantville campus is technically in the town of Mount Pleasant, although it has a Pleasantville PO. So it made sense, it was logical for us to use the same trapper because he was going over, both municipalities. So what that process is typically like is the trapper will hang cameras, motion detector cameras that will flash on when it detects motion. And so he scattered them on Choate Lane and some other places in the village, and ended up identifying one male coyote that kept passing through, which fit the description of what the residents had described, and he set a trap and trapped it. That was actually near Choate Lane, so it was technically in the town of Mount Pleasant, but very likely one of the coyotes that had been spotted in the village. So one of the major facts that we know about coyotes is that you can't trap your way out of the issue. They are a resilient animal. I mean, talking to biologists, humans have been trying to eradicate coyotes across America and North America for centuries, and the population is very resilient. So we know that a policy of trapping every time you see one is A, illegal, and B, not effective. So there are certain situations when experts say, there can be coyotes that have learned bad behaviors, and those should be removed from the population. To do so is very difficult, right? Even if you set a trap, there's no guarantee you're going to catch the right coyote. But, as a village, we feel that it's our responsibility to attempt to do so. If there's a particular coyote that is exhibiting these aggressive behaviors, they should be removed, and we're happy to allocate resources to do that.
So what is Pleasantville's plan now, continuing with the coyote problem? Because this is more of a seasonal thing because people start to go out in the summer.
Yeah.
So what's the plan for when it does start to get warmer out?
Sure. So what we've done is we've done a lot of education to residents about what to do if you see a coyote. We've also told residents to start reporting any coyote sighting to our police department so we can geographically start to understand potentially where they live, what their paths are. We're also working with a PACE graduate student to develop guidelines of what residents should do and what we as a village should do, and also best practices, what residents can do to protect or make their properties less desirable for coyotes. I mean, you don't want to be leaving trash outside. You don't want to be leaving dog food outside. You don't want to be leaving your dogs outside. So we're really going to push more education, and also the thresholds, I think, will be very helpful for both the village internally and residents.